Hi, I'm Patty, and I'm an encaustic iron and stylist artist, and I'm going to give you some helpful hints on how to play with melted crayons. So this is my setup when I'm painting. I'm going to show you my tools. This is my encaustic iron. It's a small iron with a faceplate with no holes. And this is an encaustic stylist, and it is a heated pen that I can melt crayons into and use as a pen. My workstation is, I always like to have a pile of paper that I'm painting on. The surface that we're going to paint on today and I'm going to teach you about is an encaustic card surface. So that we're going to put on our pile of cards. Right here we have some paper towels, and this is what we use to clean the iron. So we keep the paper towels clean all the time. So once you have your workstation set up, and then you're ready to try and play with some different techniques. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to teach you a little bit about encaustic painting. So this is my palette here. We have encaustic blocks and Crayola crayons. Now I use both interchangeably together. The encaustic blocks are much more expensive than the crayons, so I've modified the art that I do. So you can do it all with crayons if you like. So we're going to choose a nice bright colored crayon, and I want you to, with the iron on low, I want you to take a few moments and melt some of that crayon, cover the whole faceplate with a nice thick coat of paint. And then I want you to put the faceplate flat against the paper and then lift it up. And you can see what has happened is I've created a vacuum between the two surfaces. And the magic thing about this art is you get to paint and do all kinds of fun things in a vacuum. Okay. Well, now we've got some wax on our card. I want you to think about this art form as if you're gliding the iron over the paper, like figure skating. And I want you to try and create a bit of distance between the two surfaces and see what happens in the iron in between the spaces. So what I want you to do is play. Drop the iron on the paper, roll it off, use the side of the iron. So the first thing you want to be able to do is to know how to do this foliage effect. You can use this in a lot of different landscapes and a lot of different abstract paintings, and it makes for beautiful artwork. So the easiest way to do that is actually pick up the card, and the iron is warm, so the paper will get warm eventually, but just be careful. And you're going to actually roll the iron off the edge of the paper. And you can see there you're going to be able to get that will immediately look like a row of trees. So that's the first thing I'd like you to practice. Is rolling the iron. And you can see just in doing that, that could easily be the beginnings of a landscape. The beautiful thing about this art is you can just keep playing. So I want to talk to you a little bit about using different parts of the iron. So you can actually use the tip of the iron to push the wax away, and by turning the card and pushing the wax away, you can create really beautiful effects that can look like flowers. I want you to practice playing with the iron. Shuffling the iron will give you another effect completely. You use the tip of the iron, you can push the iron away and you can get a ribbon-like effect. When the wax starts to drag, then you know you don't have enough wax on the paper. So by all means, put lots and lots of wax on. Work with lots of wax. There we go. So you just keep resurfacing, put more wax on your paper, play, play, play. That's the most fun. So what I did here was add some purple wax to the face of the iron on top of the blue. I just did a rolling effect with the, that's a way to get two or more colors on the paper blending together. So that's just going to be my background. I'm going to show you how you can use the side of the iron to do pattern work. So what I'm going to do is find my center spot on my paper and actually drag the iron from one side right across to the other. And I'm using about that much of the iron, about 1/4 of an inch of the iron. So you drag through from one side completely through to the other side. And then I'm going to turn the paper because we're going to do some grids. So turn the paper, and I'm going to do 2 lines that way. I'm going to turn the paper again and do 2 lines that way. So you can see I'm forming a grid here. And depending on how much of the iron you actually drag on the paper, you can get a very, very wide grid. You can get a very, very narrow grid. You can get a very, very wide grid. And then you can just go and start all over again. So this again is done by dragging just about 1/4 of an inch of the iron through the wax. You can see how this quickly can turn into a pile of sticks on top of a garden. So practice using the side of your iron, dragging your iron on, removing some wax. Most of the fun of this art is just playing and trying new things. So what I've done here on the paper is just played and added a couple of different colors together. This is actually 3 different colors: the purple, the very light green, and the blue. And I've just put the wax on and tapped. So what I'm going to do is some grid work on here, and then I'm going to show you how you actually finish these paintings up. So again, I'm just going to be using about 1/4 of an inch of the iron, and I want this to look like something that is man-made, so I'm going to actually make a grid. So I'm going to draw the iron from one side straight through to the other, and I'm going to turn the paper, and I'm going to do the same thing. Draw the iron straight through to the other. I'm going to turn the page. So this is called weaving with wax. So this is how you get the look of a woven pattern with wax. You see, with every line you are doing horizontal and vertical. So in order to keep the lines fairly equal in width, I'm using the same amount of the iron with each one, with each pass. So you can see how quickly a grid becomes woven into the painting. So there we go. So we have a fun little grid painting that I've done here. Now, another beautiful thing about the encaustic art is the wax, while it's wet, is nice and shiny. So you're painting with a very, very shiny color. And then once the wax dries again, it appears to be very dull. But the trick to that is that a chemical process happens when the wax re-solidifies, and it actually leaves what's called a bloom on top of the painting, which is almost like a white powder that is separated from the color of the wax. That tends to make the paintings look very, very dull. So if you take a nice soft tissue and give that a nice vigorous rub, you can see it completely changes the look of the painting from something dull to something three-dimensional.